Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mark Isaac Potter Presents. We're visiting today with Lynnea Hagen. She is a longtime friend. She's an entrepreneur. She's done several books. She's a best-selling author. She's a consultant, been a businesswoman for a while. She really helps organizations, both nonprofits and for-profit businesses, uh, make themselves better and learn more about purpose. We're going to talk a lot about purpose today and really get into the depth of purpose thanks to the wisdom of Lynnea Hagen. Lynnea, please tell us your story. How did you get started? What is your story? Your personal.
Well, my story is still going on. Life's an adventure. Um, I I had a terrible loss in my family when I was 13, and it made me really question what life is all about. My sister,
Okay.
my only sibling, was killed suddenly in a car accident.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And the tragedy that roared through our family was like a tsunami that hit us. I was left as an only child, trying to fit into her boots and be everything to my parents. And I lost myself. I didn't know who I was and what I was capable of. So I've done a lot of exploring. And along the way, I've made a lot of mistakes. Had a certain amount of hurts, but I've also had an incredible adventure of traveling and having really incredible people cross my path, like you. I sometimes I don't make a conscious decision to seek out somebody or seek out a certain opportunity. It's kind of like as I'm just doing my thing and being who I am, things come to me. And I finished up my undergraduate work in California, even though I grew up in the Midwest. And I got a double major in psychology and sociology, thinking that I would probably be either a psychologist or a sociologist doing some kind of counseling work. I realized that would be too heavy for me to deal with people who are suicidal or whatever. I should have true sense of both heart. And so when I moved up to the Bay Area, I discovered coaching, and um, I am certified in 7 different areas of coaching, including a higher ground coach, which is quite a
Okay.
wonderful thing to be. And
Okay.
so I've just kind of gone from there and grown with the knowledge that I've gleaned, and also some of the wisdom I've gleaned from my own mistakes. And
Okay.
so
I'm
kind of
curious to know where you grew up in the Midwest because I'm from Ohio.
well, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa.
What'd you say?
Des
Say it
Moines,
again.
Iowa.
Okay. My wife was
Yeah,
from Iowa. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. It's a beautiful country. Yeah, the countryside. It's really a beautiful state. It's not
Yeah,
flat.
yeah.
It's rolling
No,
hills and green
I've been
trees.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So before we start talking very in depth about purpose, please tell me what you do as a general, day to day running your business. Your business is called the Abundance Company.
Mhm.
What do you do day to day?
Uh, what do I do? Well, the focus of my business, the purpose of my business is to work with leaders who are experiencing stuckness and are ready to experience passion.
Very
So they're
good.
exchanging, leaders exchanging stuckness for passion.
That's so critical. I just can't even get over that you've been doing that for a while now. So shall we get into the business of purpose? Should we go over there?
Well,
Go
let's get
there?
into this. I
All
think I'll
right.
just do a little overview.
All right. Now you were going to say something about the biosystem. Do you want to say more about that? The biosystem of success and joy?
Yes, I think we're ready to put that up on the screen.
Okay. Okay.
Um, this is a model that I created a few years ago. And what it does, it incorporates different areas in which I've worked, different modalities, different tools. Um, as I started going into what makes up success, I started out doing a kind of a pyramid of a 6-step business success model. It's actually a business plan with a vision at the top, and then kind of your purpose statement for this business. It's a mission statement. It's kind of
Right.
eternal. And then you have objectives. What are you trying to measure and what are you trying to be successful at? And what are the strategies that are going to push that forward? And then what are all the projects, the little pieces in order to do that? And as I looked at it and I thought about purpose, purpose just runs through everything.
Yeah.
And everything just kind of hangs off that. And I thought, this looks like a tree. And when I started thinking about business or who we are, we're organic. A tree has a life force. In fact, they're even finding that trees communicate through the
Oh,
ground
yeah.
with fungi.
Yes, I've
And
heard that. I've read that.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. And to my personal purpose, what have been really brought into my soul and my heart is that everything is sacred. And I
Yeah.
believe that we're all connected. Everything is energy. And
You
so
might,
it's to see that tree and our business as organic
yes.
really made a big difference.
Yeah. Very, very beautiful. I'm a Buddhist, and so
Mm,
that rings pretty good with me.
mm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be reading the questions because this purpose is this what we're going to learn today about purpose in two shows is so deep that you're going to think you were in some kind of a class, a major
Can I
class.
would you like can we just go over the model,
Yes,
the
please. Oh,
biosystem? Because I want to
absolutely. I'm glad
back up
you,
a little bit.
yes, interject. Yes, yes.
Yeah, let's go back to the tree.
Okay.
The tree model is like I said, it's actually a lot of business tools, but it's all leadership. And so the top of the tree is the fruit, and that is produced by being really clear what you're trying to do, and then all the different things that are going to push your activities and your thoughts up to the top where you see joy. And that's not just success, but it's joy. And everything hangs off the hangs off the purpose. Now, in order to
Okay.
live, what does a tree require? And this is for us
Well,
too.
certainly water.
Water. Now we have rain, and then that goes into the higher pieces of the tree, into the branches and leaves and everything, and nourishes it, but also goes into the roots. Now, in this model, the rain is a model for inspiring leadership. It spells out castle. And what are the qualities of an inspiring leader? Well, Dr. Lance Secretan, who's one of my mentors and who I've done a lot of his work, is rated one of the top leadership consultants and coaches in the world. He works with top executives all over the world, has for many years. He created this, and first he did a questionnaire that went out to hundreds of people about what are the qualities of the poor leader. Most of them said that they don't have any guts, they can't stand up to anything, they're phony, they're not in service to anybody, you can't trust them, they don't tell the truth, they don't care about anybody, and they're really not very good at what they do.
Oh,
So
geez.
by turning that around, he came up with this acronym of CASTLE, which is inspiring leader exhibits courage, authenticity, service, trust, love, and effectiveness. And as that goes through the organization, people are touched by that and they stay longer.
Yeah.
And I can give examples, and we go more into leadership in another show, of large corporations that are using it, and difference it's made in their
Okay.
results. On
Yeah.
the left is the sun, and the sun is your values, and this is something we need to live by every day. And in fact, I've got an instrument to help people define what their needs are and their values. And once we find out our values that really resonate deep within us, then we're going to find ourselves in places where we fit
Exactly.
because your values are being honored.
Yes.
So the values are mastery, chemistry, and delivery. And everybody can be a master whatever they're trying to do, whether it's being a parent. They can have chemistry and really relate to others on a meaningful way. And also delivery, which means you're really listening and you're producing what people really need. So that's what the
That's a
sun
very
is.
nurturing way to conduct business. I wish more businesses would conduct that
It,
way.
Yeah, no kidding. Um,
Yes.
Actually, the world, little by little, especially in this country, is evolving towards this. There's the B corporations, which B stands for benefits, and they're very transparent. That's part of what they need to be, and um, they part of their business plan is to make the world a better place in one way or another. So little by little, this is happening. Now,
Okay.
the roots is where everything on top can be bled or fed. And so if you go into concentric circles, um, here's if we're looking at the tree from the bird's eye view down the trunk, this is what spreads out. And these are the environments of you. These are the things that are either going to feed you or bleed you. And if these aren't being cleaned up, then you're not going to be fully who you are created to be. It's things like your spiritual life, the relationships you have, then your physical environment. What are you looking at every day? It takes, clutter can really hold you back. For instance, what's your physical body like? It's memetics, which is beliefs and thoughts, and your network. What kind of people are you connected to? But as you get closer in, you is really the middle, and you can find that the closer into the middle of the circle is the stuff that's really essential, and that will help you actually more nourished, be more clear about who you are, and you'll
Yes.
start actually naturally shedding the things that are not healthy for you.
Well, and that nurturingness that you're bringing in, changing your personality will come out to your group. It'll
Yeah,
show up with your group, even if you're not verbalizing it, it will show up with your group.
exactly.
The
Yeah,
amount of joy on your face and the kindness that you show to people is something that leaders desperately need to do, and they're not. Some of them are not doing it. Let's put it that way. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
There's so much of this that the leader would bring everyone who works for them. In fact, I was asked by a bank to come in and do this piece, the leadership piece. Corporate people know about this, and when I tell them this is the work I do, they're kind of blown away. But
yeah,
they want to do it for everybody every employee, every person in the organization to be more inspiring and to care and that type of thing, and to find a higher purpose.
yeah,
So that's what we're talking about, with higher
yeah.
purpose. So let's go
And,
there.
and we're gonna be talking about higher purpose for two shows. I really recommend you watch both shows. Um,
Okay.
what what are the benefits of knowing your higher purpose? I guess I want to start with what how do you get to the place where you know your higher purpose in the first place?
Um,
How do
Actually,
you,
it's
people like people with me, I'll give you an example. My wife passed away in 96.
mm, right.
Okay, that changed my life enough that after a year of mourning, I started looking for a higher purpose than I had ever looked for. That caused it.
Yep.
So, what
Yep.
gets people to the point where they want to know what their higher purpose is?
That's actually one of the pieces. There are a couple of different ways in which people get to the point where they want to. There's a compulsion comes from the inside, and there must be some kind of drive to know it. With me, I survived and thrived through a lot of really challenging, painful things, and I learned a lot. And I just had the compulsion. What do I do with all this? I've got all this knowledge and ability, and what do I do with all of it? Why am I here? Why am I collecting all of this experience and knowledge?
Right,
You know,
right.
it's not for me to sit on it. That would be horrible.
Now,
And
my
so
question is, can a business leader uh, come to this decision to work on purpose because of things in the business, like we're getting outperformed by the competitor, or we're losing money every month, or my workers are not happy and I'm afraid they're going to walk out on me. Could that kind of a thing trigger somebody calling
Yes.
you on the phone?
Yes, that's the second way people can move into it, is be in turbulent circumstances. Now, in your case, it was a loss of a spouse, but it could be a loss of a job. It could be a company that's kind of going down the tubes. Um, there could be fear, and fear is a great motivator.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yeah, it really is. Like, the UAW strike recently, we're talking in September of 2023. The
mhm.
UAW strike, the writers' strike were things that I don't think the government or even the business community expected. But, it's a balance between workers and the employers. So anyway, let's go to what are
Yeah.
the
So,
benefits of knowing your highest purpose?
oh my gosh.
There's a lot there, huh? This will be the half an hour show right here.
Well,
Introduce.
there's something called the why be do, and the why is why am I here? The B is how am I going to be while I'm here? And the do is what am I going to do about it? And what am I going to do from here on out? And oh my gosh, it lights a fire within you. It lights a spark. It makes life more joyful. It gets you through some of the tougher days. It elicits better self-care. It elicits better self-respect. It shows you have a path in this world. And once you get that, it's funny the things they'll start coming to you. They'll show you the work you can do. And the work is not necessarily, something that you're going to be doing every day. It's actually the way you are every day.
Okay.
How do you
So
show
throughout
up
throughout your day, yeah. How do you show up?
throughout your
Right.
day? Exactly. And, and I think a lot of people ask, there's got to be more than this. They have everything in the world, and we got to be more than this. Why am I here? And so this helps to, pull all that apart, and it gets it to the part where it's really simple. And finding that piece is simple, but it's not simplistic because
Oh,
it takes some answering of questions, and we can go into those if you'd
yeah.
like.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would. I also want to ask, when you're working with a company and you give them a piece of training, do they want you to follow up hourly with the consulting or they don't? Or how does that, is it like half and half or
Um, Actually, that's part of the contract.
okay,
Um,
that you'll be
people
available
don't
for coaching?
people don't fully learn and internalize just by a one-off.
Yeah,
You go to motivational speakers. I mean, I've seen Tony Robbins and a lot of them in person, and get all hyped up and everything. There's a lot of hand clapping. That lasts about 3 days.
yeah.
Totally, but you've got to. It's a. Let me tell you, once you discover your purpose, it sits in your heart. It's a soulful thing, and I mean, I just kind of got this feeling like chills because um, but then what do you do with that, and how do you live it out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how do you keep it going? I took all kinds of training courses in my life, and you're right, they last about 3 or 4 days. And the only way I got the real benefit from most of them is just to stick with it for years till it really went into my bones. Now, let me get back to your comment about finding your purpose is simple but not simplistic. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, defining it as comes down to three questions. What do you believe is the greatest threat? It's called a bio threat, a terror threat. I'm sorry, terror threat. What do you believe is the biggest threat to the earth and people, if not corrected, would lead to destruction?
Do most people think that big, or are they thinking more like what will take away my Ferrari? I don't mean to be cynical, but
Well, you know what? If that's the way they want to think, then that's the way they're going to think. You know, but they, they have to be compelled, to get to something different.
Yeah.
Maybe a sense of loss. I don't know what kicks them in the fanny to do that. But what do you believe is the greatest threat to the planet and its inhabitants that, if it not addressed and fixed or improved or eliminated, threatens the very existence of the planet?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I did a lot of soul searching, and as I thought about all the things that are going on around me and in the world and everything, and what brought it down to like one element. And what really hurts and what really makes me cry inside is that people aren't honoring the sacredness of the planet,
Right.
and honoring the sacredness of other people.
Yes.
That gives me the greatest pain. So the greatest pain is also where your purpose is found. It's like the pain is like this, the purpose is like this little nugget in there that is a seed that can grow.
Okay. The
So
pain is where the purpose is found.
exactly.
Okay.
And then, okay, so we get to that. And so mine was not honoring the sacredness of people on the planet. So how do I turn that around? You turn that statement around, and now that becomes my purpose. My purpose is to honor the sacredness of people on the planet. I can start living that out every single day by, recycling, by working with companies that honor, are eco-friendly, by hanging with people who inspire me, and not making remarks and judgments about anybody else, because we're all
Yes.
going through our own journey, and we're all one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I,
that's my purpose, is to honor the
yeah.
sacredness of people and the planet. It's
Would
big.
you
It's
would
like,
you
how can I
say
change the entire world? That's what a purpose, higher purpose is. Highest purpose
yeah.
is how I can change. And some people think it's lack of education. Some people, in that case, and you turn that around. Okay, what is your purpose?
Yeah.
It's to educate, to bring education to everybody in the world. And does that inspire you? Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yes. Now, would you say in a business, I think the belief out there now is that it is better business to run it that way than to just be the guy in the main office smoking a cigarette, working 12 hours a day,
Yeah.
being upset all the time, not getting enough sleep. To treat others fairly, we see the major corporations giving tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to charity, which I think is a good start.
Mm-hmm.
They're also sponsoring, sports programs and
Right.
disability programs so that the public can see they're not only throwing money at the stuff, but these problems, but they're trying their best to make themselves part of the community in a meaningful way. I'm of the opinion that it would be better to run your company that way. I'm assuming that's your thought as well, right?
There's a magic in doing that, because it makes a place where employees are proud to work there. Employees can understand that somehow they're part of being a change agent.
Yes.
It elevates them. They feel like they're being honored, because if the company really brings that into the workplace, they're being
Right.
honored. And people do their best work, and if they have a place that feels good,
Yeah, and they stay and they
they
produce more. I
stay.
mean,
Exactly. It's really good business.
yeah, yeah,
Employee
yeah,
turnover is very expensive for a company.
yeah,
And if you're running a really uncomfortable place, and an angst-filled place to live, where people are being chewed out, and then what does that do to the productivity and the employees? And they'd be looking for the next door.
yes. I'm an example of that. I've worked in places that were not very nice and I didn't stay very
Yep.
long. So,
Yep.
but I've got too much talent to do that. So,
And you know that the people talk about motivation. when you have people that are honored and they feel they're being cared about, and they are encouraged to use their talents and their minds, and then they don't need to be motivated because they're inspired.
Yes, very much
Motivation
so.
takes a lot of energy, and you've got to keep adding more carrots. You got to get more carrots out there, or more money into the pot.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Motivation is takes a lot of energy. Keep people motivated. Now here's our next big sales. I was in sales for many years. Here's the sales contest.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you do this, we're going to add more to the pot. And I can understand sales, but there's a lot of people who just have these little carrots out there for somebody who's not even in sales to produce income. But
Right.
people to do like a safety program, something like that.
Yes. Yes.
But how can all these people within the organization honor everybody else?
Well, and yes, how can they
Organization
honor
or
everybody
themselves.
else? And one of the things that happened for me, I worked at Stanford for years as a printer, and I took some courses at Stanford on management. And
Mhm.
my boss was a wonderful, wonderful person who's a friend of mine to this day. And when I had an idea, because I was one of the printers working with the printing machines, I knew that part of the business. I didn't know the management necessarily, but I knew that, doing things a certain way would help the production, would make it easier. And so I
Yeah.
would go to her and say, we need this or we need that. And she would just go out of her way to listen and implement.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I stayed there as many years as I possibly could. I'll tell you. So
Exactly.
yeah,
That's a great example. I on my
yeah, she
radio
was
show,
wonderful.
called Abundance Leadership, I interviewed Marshall Goldsmith, who's very well known. He's like one of the globally well
Say his
known.
name again.
Marshall
What's his name
Goldsmith.
again? Okay. Oh
Marshall
yeah.
Goldsmith.
Yeah.
And he said, one of the big mistakes that leaders do is they think they know it all. They try to be know-it-alls.
Yeah.
You're not going to know it
Yeah.
all.
No,
And
nobody's
that's
going
not,
to know it all. And if you might as well, if you let your people know in a gracious way, not in a way that defaces you or them, just in a gracious way, some of those people are going to help you out. Here's this, boss, or I noticed the line went slow today because, this happened and that happened. So it's very important.
it
So
is. And it's also not letting your people make
shine.
some decisions, or
Yeah.
make a suggestion, then saying yes, but that's another big
Yeah. Yeah.
mistake that leaders do.
Yes.
And pretty soon people will just start stopping
Yeah.
trying
No,
or giving
they'll
suggestions.
do a work slow down or they'll just, cheat. One of the things in printing, not at any print shop, not just, well, we didn't have it very much at Stanford, but some of the other companies that we associated with wanted to talk about um, employee theft and customer theft. And these kind of things happen because people are dissatisfied.
Yeah.
That's it's a way to reach out and say, I want to do something else. I don't want to be here, but I got to be here because I need the money.
Yeah, but there's also something to be said for hiring well.
Yes,
I worked for
that's all.
Disney and also AT&T, and
Yeah,
they had such stringent hiring policies that make sure they had the right person in the job.
yeah. Well, Lynnea, it's about time for me to say a few things and start
Oh,
wrapping up.
okay.
I just really enjoy it when you're on the show. You're doing so much for the world. I want people to get your ebook. There's been contact information on the screen, and there's going to be more contact information at the end of the show. I would urge you, please get a hold of Lynnea, get her free ebook, get her a regular book. It's like 142 tips. Is that
It's
right?
a it's called Lynnea Hagen on Stuckness. 142 insights and tips and to get unstuck
Yes.
to
And
get
lady,
unstuck to get unstuck, get going and get what you want.
Yeah.
It's actually a little journal. It was written when Twitter had 140 characters. So
Okay. Okay. Good.
because
Okay.
people, gave people an opportunity to then put it on Twitter too.
Yeah. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Mark Isaac Potter Presents with our lovely guest, Lynnea Hagen, who is one of the smartest people I've met in this lifetime. And we're going to do another show. So please stay tuned. We got through one question out of 10 this show. So tune in for the next show, and thank you very much. Thanks for watching.